This video teaching is about truth. We need to be clear about our definition of truth. Truth is not the words of men and women. Truth is not the words of our pastor. Truth is not the words of the Pope. Truth is not man-made doctrines. Truth exists. It simply is. Truth is established using hard, reliable evidence. For example, this object is an orange circle. We can see that it is in the shape of a circle, and we can see that it is orange. No one can convince us that this object is a green square. The evidence establishes the truth and is something we can see with our own eyes. We cannot change truth because it is what it is. Dogs will always reproduce puppies. This Australian Shepherd will always reproduce puppies that will look like her and the father. She will never reproduce kittens by natural means. We cannot change this fact because it is an absolute truth. We can see this with our own eyes. The words of our Father in the Hebrew writings are truth. We firmly establish this in our teachings found in the foundations at ourfathersway.com. We also discuss this in our video teaching titled, The Word. Yahuwah's Word is truth. Acknowledging and accepting truth is imperative. Let's consider a hypothetical example. We are going to use a very controversial topic to illustrate this point. Some people believe that Yahusha is Yahuwah in the flesh. They believe Yahusha is our creator. If the truth revealed that Yahusha is not Yahuwah in the flesh, then these people would be guilty of idolatry. The word of our Father says idolatry is a death sentence. He says the following in Devarim 13:6-9 through the prophet Moshe. If your brother, the son of your mother, or your son, or your daughter, or the wife of your bosom, or your friend, which is as your own soul, entices you secretly, saying, Let us go and serve other mighty ones which you have not known, you nor your fathers, namely of the mighty ones of the people which are round about you, near unto you, or far off from you, from one end of the earth even to the other end of the earth. You shall not consent unto him, nor hear and obey him. Neither shall your eye pity him, neither shall you spare, neither shall you conceal him, but you shall surely kill him. Your hand shall be first upon him to put him to death, and afterwards the hand of all the people. Is this the first death mentioned by Yahuwah in Bereshith 2:17, or the second death mentioned in Devarim 30:15-20? Yochanan, the disciple of our Messiah, clarifies this for us. He recorded the following in Revelation 22:14-15, after the resurrection and ascension of our Messiah. Blessed are they that do his commandments, that they may have a right to the tree of life, and may enter in through the gates into the city. For outside are dogs and sorcerers and whoremongers and murderers and idolaters, and whatsoever loves and makes a lie. We are going to illustrate this passage in Revelation by using a slide from our video teaching called Our Way Home. The ancient Hebrew pictograph letter Zadeh communicates a message to us. It is a picture of a zigzag trail leading to the gates of a fortress built into the side of a mountain. Messiah Yahusha walked the narrow pathway to the gates of our Father's house. Because he obeyed all of our Father's instructions, he was allowed to enter the gates. Testimony says Messiah Yahusha is standing to the right of our Father. He is inside our Father's house. Yahusha has access to the tree of life, which allows him to live forever. People who do the commandments of our Father are following Yahusha's example. They are walking the narrow road like him. They will enter the gates of our Father's house. They will have access to the tree of life and will live forever in the presence of our Father. This is what Yochanan is saying in this passage in Revelation. According to Yochanan, the people on the outside in the resurrection are like dogs. They are sorcerers, whoremongers, murderers, idolaters, and liars. These people are outside our Father's house in the resurrection. They will not have access to the tree of life, and they're pictured here by the little orange star. If they do not have access to the tree of life, they will not live forever after they have been resurrected. They will die a second time. There is no redemption from this death. The people outside our Father's house in the resurrection will cease to exist when they die a second time. Here is a brief review. The people on the inside are those who do the commandments of Yahuwah, just like Messiah Yahusha. This is what Yochanan is saying in Revelation. The people on the outside in the resurrection are dogs, sorcerers, whoremongers, murderers, idolaters, and liars. In our example, this means that people who believe Yahusha is Yahuwah in the flesh would be committing idolatry. In the resurrection, they will be located outside our Father's house. They would not have access to the tree of life. This means they will die the second death. If the word of our Father provides evidence that Yahusha is not Yahuwah in the flesh, then obeying our Father means that we would support this fact and teach it to others. If this is the truth, then someone else has established the doctrine that Yahusha is Yahuwah in the flesh. These people are choosing to obey their voice rather than the voice of our Father, which is His word. This is what it means to serve another mighty one. People place the authority of someone else above the authority of Yahuwah, especially with contradictions. In this hypothetical situation, we have two contradictory statements. Both of them cannot be true. One is the truth and one is a lie. In our example, we will say that Yahuwah's word reveals that Yahusha is not Yahuwah in the flesh. This means that someone else is teaching people that Yahusha is Yahuwah in the flesh. Yahuwah says Messiah Yahusha is not Yahuwah in the flesh, but someone else says Messiah Yahusha is Yahuwah in the flesh. In our example, people who believe and teach that Messiah Yahusha is Yahuwah in the flesh are not obeying the voice of our Father. They are placing the authority of someone else above the authority of Yahuwah Elohim. This is idolatry. People will not inherit eternal life if they continue to serve someone else. Adam and Chava are our example. Chava chose to obey the voice of the serpent rather than the voice of our Father. Adam chose to obey the voice of his wife rather than the voice of our Father. This is confirmed in Bereshit 3:17. And unto Adam he said, Because you have heard and obeyed the voice of your wife, and have eaten of the tree of which I commanded you, saying, You shall not eat of it. Cursed is the ground for your sake, and sorrow shall you eat of it all the days of your life. Adam and Chava were in the Garden of Eden. They disobeyed the voice of Yahuwah and chose to obey the voice of someone else. They were placed outside our Father's house. Adam and Chava committed idolatry. They were placed outside our Father's house with no access to the tree of life. They are in the same location with the orange star. They died. Our Father is consistent and abides by His laws. If people commit idolatry, they will remain outside our Father's house just like Adam and Chava. This means that people who believe Yahusha is Yahuwah in the flesh will find themselves outside our Father's house. If this is the case, then doesn't it make sense to thoroughly examine the evidence and determine the truth? We cannot be afraid to put our beliefs on trial. If we dismiss the subject because we are afraid to put our belief on trial, we may find ourselves in a situation in the resurrection that we will regret for eternity. We cannot be afraid to examine the evidence and see the truth. It is a matter of life and death. This particular subject used in our example is highly controversial. Many do not like to talk about this subject. One of these statements is true. Yahusha is Yahuwah in the flesh. Yahusha is not Yahuwah in the flesh. Are we willing to acknowledge and accept either statement as the truth? This is the mindset required to find truth. We have to be willing to let go of beliefs rooted in deception and accept beliefs based on truth. Yahuwah says, Is not my word like a fire, says Yahuwah, and like a hammer that breaks the rock in pieces? This is in Yirmiyahu 23:29. The truth hurts. We can expect the truth to turn our world upside down. There is salvation in truth. Our Father's words are the words of life because He is the only one with power over life and death. If the word reveals that Yahusha is not Yahuwah in the flesh, then these are the words of life. Believing that Yahusha is Yahuwah in the flesh are the words of death because they would be rooted in deception. If a belief is not rooted in truth, it is okay to let it go. The truth is extremely uncomfortable, just like He said it would be. This is why people cannot earn a living by speaking the truth. It makes people uncomfortable. They become agitated and lash out. They avoid and ignore people who speak the truth. These kind of feelings do not motivate people to donate money to a ministry or church. Teachers and leaders who are dependent upon the donations from their followers will skirt the truth or avoid it altogether. They cannot afford to speak the truth. This is a hard reality to accept. 2 Timothy 4:3-4 says, "For the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine, but after their own lusts they shall heap to themselves teachers having itching ears, and they shall turn away their ears from the truth, and shall be turned to fables." The truth is the word of Yahuwah Elohim. Truth is not what we want it to be. Truth is. It simply exists and cannot be changed or deleted. We determine the truth by examining solid, reliable evidence that we can see with our own eyes and hear with our own ears. We must be willing to put our beliefs on trial and determine if they are rooted in truth or deception. Our eternal life is at stake. Once the resurrection has occurred, it will be too late. Now is the time to seek and find the truth. Our video teachings are just an overview of evidence that we have in each respective study. So if you would like to learn more, we encourage you to go and examine these at ourfathersway.com.